When you think of Indonesia, you might imagine paradisiacal beaches and crystal clear waters, like in Bali, right? But what if I told you that there was an island just as beautiful, if not more so than Bali, where the scenery is much more complex and intriguing? Welcome to Sumba, a place where ancient traditions and disturbing practices challenge everything you know. Here, the dead wait years to be buried, and the beauty of the scenery contrasts with the shocking reality of slavery and women kidnapped for forced marriages. Ready to explore Sumba's darkest secrets? Get ready for a journey that will surprise you and challenge you to look beyond the paradise facade. Number 1. Location. In the heart of Indonesia, east of trendy Bali and south of Flores, lies the island of Sumba, a hidden treasure waiting to be explored. Nicknamed the Forgotten Island, Sumba is a paradise for those seeking deserted beaches, untouched nature, and a culture rich in ancient mysteries. And if you go there, get your sunscreen ready, because Sumba receives more light than anywhere else in Indonesia. Its white sandy beaches and crystal clear waters are perfect for relaxing, sunbathing, surfing, or simply getting lost in the vast blue expanse. But Sumba isn't just about the beach. The island offers incredible hiking trails that take you to spectacular waterfalls, such as Lapopu and Matayangu, the natural pool of Wikuri Lagoon, or the Laiwangi Wangamiti and Manuel Tanah Daru national parks, home to endangered species and breathtaking landscapes. And for those looking for something beyond the obvious, Sumba has a mystical and ancestral side. Festivals and rituals in honor of ancestral spirits are part of the local culture, making the island a unique destination full of surprises. Number 2. The Sumba people. The magic is not only in the stunning landscapes, but also in the welcoming hearts of its people. The Sumbanese, guardians of an ancient culture, preserve customs and rituals that enchant and intrigue visitors, providing an authentic and unforgettable experience. With warm smiles and open arms, the people of Sumba welcome travelers like old friends, sharing their stories, traditions, and unique way of life. Hospitality is a hallmark of the island, and don't be surprised if, when you visit a local home, you are greeted with betel nuts, a gesture of respect and friendship. And for those who don't know, betel nut is like a natural energy drink, but much more potent than coffee. Found throughout Asia, it is chewed for its stimulating properties, and along with nicotine, alcohol, and caffeine, is considered one of the most behavior-altering substances in the world. Not to mention the fact that your mouth will turn brown and your saliva reddish. You know when you have a tooth extracted and spit out blood. It's going to be something like that. And while we're on the subject of people and traditions, nothing better than to start talking about religion. Number 3. Religion. On Sumba, religion isn't just a belief, it's the blood that runs through the island's veins. The Marapu, the faith that dominates there, is a complex and intriguing system that mixes ancestral and animist elements, and even touches of Hinduism and Buddhism, guiding the Sumbanese on their spiritual journey. The Marapu, spirits of the ancestors, are the intermediaries between the world of the living and the spirit world. The main belief is that life here on earth is just the beginning, and that the soul continues its journey after death, protected by the ancestors in paradise, the Marapu heaven. To maintain a good relationship with the Marapu, practitioners perform rituals and ceremonies full of meaning. Offerings, animal sacrifices, and interpreting the signs of nature are some of the practices that connect the faithful to the ancestral spirits, guaranteeing blessings such as health, bountiful harvests, and successful relationships. Number 4. Social structures and slavery. Sumbanese society is a melting pot of ancestral customs and modernity, where past and present blend in a unique way. The island, divided into 4 areas of government, east, north, west, and south, is home to a population made up of various clans, each with its own village, its own king and customs that set them apart from the rest. In the past, society was divided into nobles, peasants, and slaves. Although slavery has been officially abolished, there are still remnants of this dark era. Many people who work for the noble families consider themselves serfs, which in practice means working and serving the noble families without pay, i.e., working for food and housing. Number 5. Sumbanese Architecture. While we're on the subject of housing, if there's one thing that stands out, it's the peculiar way in which houses are built. Sumba's traditional houses, called Uma Umbatangu, are unique constructions with high, pointed roofs that symbolize the connection between the earthly world and the spiritual world. The traditional houses have a wooden structure. The lower columns are surrounded by rings made of wood or stone, symbolizing linga and yoni, representing the sexual aspect of life and symbolizing fertility. The walls and floors of the houses are made of woven bamboo, often adorned with buffalo skin. Newer houses may have wooden plank walls and floors, and the walls are often painted. A traditional house is divided into 3 levels, each with its own symbolism. There is the underworld below the house called Uma Dalu, where the animals reside, the human world called Baga, which is where the people live, and the spiritual world called Labu Baga, where the gods and ancestors dwell, as well as housing objects of worship and supplies. The floors represent the harmonious relationship between humans and God, according to Marapu belief. Thus, the traditional house is not just a home, but a social and ceremonial unit. The construction of a house is accompanied by rituals. To lay the roof, neighbors bring chickens to Rato, the community's spiritual leader. From the bird's livers, he interprets whether the house will be safe from storms and lightning, as well as assessing the future health and well-being of the residents. The blood collected from the chickens is poured into the foundations of the support columns. All the men in the village collaborate in the construction of the house. In or near each village are the typical Sumba megalithic tombs, which is our next attraction. Number 6. Stone tombs. One of the most impressive things about Sumba are the megalithic stone tombs that are scattered around the island, true works of art in funerary architecture that bear witness to a rich and mysterious past. In each village, whether in the heart of the community or in remote areas, these cube-shaped tombs stand out in the landscape, like silent guardians of the connection between the world of the living and the spirit world. The curious thing is that many of these tombs still belong to some families in the community and are used for the burial of their members. But don't think that this is a simple and quick process, because, as we'll see in the next topic, the Sumbanese sometimes live with their dead for a long time. Number 7. It takes years to bury the dead. As we talked about in the topic of religion, for the Sumbanese, death is not the end of the line, but rather a passage into the spirit world. They believe that the soul of the deceased, called the Harangu, wanders between the house and the other world until the funeral rituals are completed, guaranteeing its safe passage to the land of the ancestors. The body of the deceased is carefully prepared, washed and dressed in their best clothes. Until the funeral, the family offers food, water, betel, areca, and tobacco, as if they were taking care of their loved one on their journey. Among the nobility, the body can remain at home for months or even years, while the family prepares for the final farewell. During this period, the house becomes a sacred space with some restrictions, such as a ban on cooking and weaving. Rituals are performed to ward off negative energies and protect the bereaved family, while relatives and friends visit the family, offering gifts and expressing their condolences. And after all this, when the time finally comes to bury the deceased, the ceremony is something grand. Number 8. Funerals. The funeral is a big community event marked by animal sacrifices and offerings to ancestral spirits. The meat of the animals is shared among those present, symbolizing unity and mutual support in a time of mourning. The number of animals sacrificed varies according to the social importance of the deceased and the family's possessions, and can reach dozens of head of cattle at the funerals of great leaders. In the past, after the funeral, the community performed divination rituals to identify the spirits responsible for the death and ensure that social order was restored. It was believed that death was caused by breaking rules or neglecting rituals, and identifying the spirits responsible was key to preventing further tragedies. Although some practices have changed over time, the essence of funeral rituals in SUMBA remains the same: honoring the dead, celebrating life, and ensuring the safe passage of the soul to the spirit world. Number 9. Tradition of the kiss on the nose. You know the famous Eskimo kiss? That's right. Here they have something similar. Another unique tradition that can be found when visiting SUMBA Island is the puduk, a kiss on the nose that demonstrates friendship and family ties. This ancient tradition is a symbol of peace and reconciliation, used at special moments such as weddings, birthdays, traditional festivals, and even mourning events. But don't think it's just kisses for anyone. No, this display of affection is reserved for special occasions and close people. Number 10. Weddings. In SUMBA, marriage is synonymous with celebration, tradition, and debt. In order to win the hand of his beloved, the groom has to spend a lot of money, or rather, a lot of cattle. This tradition, called belis, requires the groom to present the bride's family with buffaloes, cows, pigs, horses, and even sandalwood. The more noble the bride's family, the bigger the dowry. Just imagine, to marry a girl from a traditional family, the groom may have to pay up to 40 horses, as well as other animals. The dowry is one of the most important transactions for a man in SUMBA, and many end up in debt for the rest of their lives. The minimum payment involves 10 animals, divided into 5 horses and 5 buffalo, and a gold earring. But the amount can vary depending on the bride's family. But don't think it's just the groom who foots the bill. The bride's family also offers gifts in exchange, such as pigs, fabrics, and even a sarung, which is a kind of traditional skirt for the bride. If the bride's father approves of the union, the exchange is usually equivalent to the dowry. Otherwise, he can show his disapproval by offering very little in return. But there is another tradition on SUMBA Island that is related to marriage and is much more surprising than the dowry. Stay tuned for the next topic to find out what I'm talking about. Number 11. Kawintangkap, or kidnapping of women. While we're on the subject of weddings, here we need to put into context that marriage is not always synonymous with celebration. Unfortunately, there are also controversial practices. Despite the generous dowry and celebrations, there is a dark side to this culture: kawintangkap, or capture and marriage. Imagine the scene. A group of men grab a woman in public, forcibly take her to a truck, and transport her to the groom's family home, where she will become his wife. The woman may struggle, scream, but no one helps her. It may sound absurd, but they are real and relatively common on the island of SUMBA. In this recently released video taken in SUMBA, a group of men can be seen carrying a distressed-looking woman to a black pickup truck in a public space. Dozens of people can be seen crowded around the car, celebrating and recording videos while the kidnapped woman cries. The video then switches to what appears to be a house. A woman, apparently the same one, is seen crying and screaming as she is carried by several shirtless men. The woman may struggle, scream, but no one helps her. It is considered a custom, a matter of tradition. This shocking practice, although banned today, still takes place in some areas of Sumba, such as in central Sumba Regency, where it is known as Yapa Marada. Often, the victim's family does not object to the forced marriage, either because of kinship ties with the groom or fear of reprisals. Women's rights activists in Sumba are fighting against this cruel tradition. In recent years, several cases have been criminally investigated, but cultural change is slow and difficult. Number 12. Paer. But let's continue our journey and talk about less heavy and controversial traditions. As you've seen, family is important, but everyone has their own space, and the Paer tradition is proof of that. The expression, "every monkey on its own branch," has never made so much sense. This unique tradition forbids any direct contact between daughter-in-law and father-in-law, or son-in-law and mother-in-law. They cannot communicate, touch, or even touch each other's belongings. It's a taboo that guarantees respect and family harmony, showing that even with strong ties, everyone has their place in the family. Number 13. Posa Festival. And while we're on the subject of horses, in Sumba they are more than just beasts of burden. They are symbols of status and pride. In rural areas, they remain an essential means of transportation, and the Sumbanese have been expert riders since childhood. In the cities, it is common to see men riding their horses as if they were in convertible cars, parading proudly through the streets and beaches. This passion for horses manifests itself spectacularly at the Posa, an annual festival that celebrates the harvest and fertility. It's like a mock war competition on horseback, with brave riders throwing spears at each other in a display of strength and skill. Number 14. Ikat weaving. And last but not least, let's talk about ikat, a textile art that is the soul of the island. Ikat is a traditional technique for dyeing fabrics, essential in the lives of the Sumbanese. It is present at important moments such as weddings and religious ceremonies, and is even used as a burial cloth for high-ranking people. This technique consists of dyeing the fabric threads before weaving them, creating unique and vibrant patterns. The process involves tying and dyeing each thread individually with natural dyes extracted from plants and roots, resulting in patterns that represent the local culture and have a distinctive charm. If you've been enchanted by Sumba's culture and exuberant nature, keep exploring the channel as we have other amazing destinations. Don't forget to activate the notifications to be notified firsthand about our next videos. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, take the opportunity to join our community of passionate travelers and embark on this bello mundo with us. Until next time, adventurers.